CBS Sports, home of March Madness, the Masters, the PGA Championship, PGA Tour, SEC football, the NFL, and February 3rd, Super Bowl 53.
The only thing hotter than the Texas weather are the first-place Seattle Seawolves. They face a Houston side desperate for a win. It's time for Major League Rugby. It's a perfect Saturday evening for rugby at Dyer Stadium, home of the Houston Sabercats, as Week 7 continues on CBS Sports. A very good evening and welcome to Houston, Texas. Dan Powell with you, alongside former Australian 7-star Luke Milton. And Luke, Seattle's first trip to Texas this season, they face a Sabercats side just desperate to get a win.
They really do, Dan, and it's a really exciting night for rugby tonight. We've got two teams at opposite ends of the standings tonight, but this game is going to be a lot closer than those standings suggest. We've got a Houston team desperate for a win and really wanting to keep their season alive. And then we've got a Seattle team that faces the elements of Houston, and how are they going to put up with this heat? I, for one, am very excited about this game, ladies and gentlemen. Can't wait to get this one started.
Well, you're not the only one excited. Let's take a look at one of the key players for the Sabercats.
Matty Truval comes into this game as a real key player to watch for me. His American hometown of Seattle, playing against some of his old teammates with a real impression to make here on some of those old Eagle teammates of his. He considers himself a ball-playing forward. Let's see if he can create that space for Sammy Windsor to weave his magic outside.
For more on Sam Windsor, we welcome the third member of our team, Stacey Pates, who's with the Fly Half now.
There's a name synonymous with scoring in the MLR, and that is Sam Windsor. While Sam leads the league in scoring, his team, though, is at the bottom of the standings. So how do you keep your players encouraged?
Fun is probably the best part, the best word to use. The last week, we've really focused on bringing an enjoyment factor back to the games. The last 3 weeks haven't gone to plan, and we've been beaten by the buzzer and a few points at the end. So motivation isn't a worry at all. The boys get up every week to perform and to win more than anything. So this week our big focus was putting out of mind the points table and where we are on the ladder, but just focusing on the way we were playing back in January and February in our exhibition season and just having fun. That's why we play the game, and that's where we play well.
Sam, thank you so much. And they're looking for a W on their home pitch today. And he may be the leading scorer, but he can't do it on his own. He's got a host of guys that he relies on as well.
And here's a Houston starting lineup, paying close attention to some of the bigger forwards here to really set that thing. We've got Macklin at the front there that's really going to work forward in getting those drive forward moments going, with the Meeson backing him up. In the back there, we've got some Connor Mills really going to, really etch the way forward for those number 15 and 14 to really go forward ahead with them. Back into the saddle.
Yeah, it's been a breakout year for the crazy-haired firebrand Vili Tolutahu. The Hawaiian native and former All-American has been simply outstanding at flanker for Seattle, with both ball in hand, and his devastating defense as well has set the tone, has set the platform for his side. And now, if you take a look at this Seattle lineup, well, it's a new look in the front row for Seattle as Gordon and Hayden get the start. Metcher and Khalifi slip back to the bench. In the backs, no changes from last week, with the flying winger Brock Stoller retaining the kicking duties here today. And in these conditions, Luke, it will be very, very important, those kicks. Now, the stage is set, folks. We will be back in Houston after the break. Will the Seattle Seawolves seawall hold true? Or is tonight the night the Sabercats find their claws? Find out right after this.
Major League Rugby on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Aviva, pushing boundaries in the digital world, where everything is possible. Learn more at aviva.com. By Baylor Medical. Baylor College of Medicine is proud to be the official healthcare provider of the Houston Sabercats. And by Karbach. It's game time, and Karbach Brewing wants to remind you that nothing goes better with the game than a cold Love Street Blonde or Hopadillo IPA. Major League Rugby on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Aviva, pushing boundaries in the digital world, where everything is possible. Learn more at aviva.com. By Baylor Medical. Baylor College of Medicine is proud to be the official healthcare provider of the Houston Sabercats. And by Carbach. It's game time. And Carbach Brewing wants to remind you that nothing goes better with the game than a cold Love Street Blonde or Hopadillo IPA.
And welcome back as the sun sets over Dyer Stadium. We are moments away from kickoff here. It'll be the Sabercats on the right, kicking off to the Seawolves. There is our head referee, Derek Summers. He'll have the whistle for tonight, and we wait for that whistle as we are underway. Round 7 continues in Major League Rugby as the Seawolves elect to let that one bounce. Dangerous. Off the restart, they do well to recover there through the big man in Hayden. Mack now shifts to his left. As they've done all season, the Seawolves, they will use their forwards extensively to get out of their own end. Holder won't find the line, instead finds the safe hands of Pangelian at fullback for the Sabercats. Here comes Vithi, the flying winger. Oh, big collision right midfield there. The Fijian crashing into the defensive line. Another big tackle coming in from the Seawolves, 2 in a row, Luke.
Absolutely, Dan. That was a very interesting strategy to let that ball go onto the ground from the kickoff.
As the sun sets down that end of the field, it doesn't appear to be much of a problem for the players' eyes. As Windsor now. Pass just slightly behind Pangelian, forces him to stop his momentum. Good defence there, coming up from Staller. He'll wear the 14 for the Seawolves tonight. Great ball, Windsor. Goes short to Lindsay.
Yeah, great ball there, Dan. They're really starting to move into the middle of the field there and really create that field position. This is what Houston are going to have to do all night if they're going to have some success at the later stages of these games.
Assumption. Well, it has probably been one of the knocks on them this season, Luke, is their ability to close out games. They've lost some tight ones, with San Diego coming back at the buzzer and then unable to come back themselves last week against Utah. Windsor.
Absolutely, Dan.
Windsor. High ball. Holder. Yeah, maybe that sun is more of an issue there as he loses the ball in the air as well. And we'll have the scrum after a slight error from the Sabercats with that bouncing ball.
Great start of the game, Dan. I think this is going to really set the scene for the night. If Houston can control possession and really keep Seattle down this end of the field, I think we're in for quite the game.
Right you are, Luke. It's definitely not the side of night you want to be doing like a tackling, is it? It's a game. In these hot conditions, you want to keep the ball in hand.
Absolutely, Dan. And you know from being a player yourself, field position is key tonight. You don't want to fatigue yourself too early, especially in these conditions.
Your first look at the scrum. Under the watchful eye of Derek Summers. It'll be Phil Mack, who has been called into the Canadian squad. The veteran, along with Ray Barkwell, one of those guys have been plying their trade for the Canadians for many years now. Good to see them still involved at the international level.
It really is, Dan. It's good to see Philly Mack still running around, controlling the field as he always has.
Set! 1, 2, 3, hold! Hold!
Hold! Free kick.
3.
Goes against number 3 there in Paul Mullen. That elbow dropping down to the ground, so just a free kick.
Another scrum, okay.
Of course,
Another
Seattle,
scrum.
they'll elect for the scrum.
It's a good choice there, Dan. I think that what they can do here is really start to play the game by their terms. Now, if we can get some field position back down into Houston's quarter, we'll see how this pans out for them.
One of the most feared scrums in Major League Rugby. 3 penalty tries against San Diego early this season on the back of the strength of the scrum for Seattle. Houston, though, they also fancy themselves as one of the better scrummaging sides in the league.
You can't hear me? Okay, I'll say it louder. That's fine.
Well, we do know, Dan, that these forwards take this part of the game very seriously. It's the real strength test of the game, and it's where they really get to show who's been in the weight room a little bit longer than the other team. Let's see how it goes.
Bind. Set! 1, 2, 3, hold!
Better platform this time from both sides as Mack shifts to his left to Holder. Holder picks up Staller back on the inside. Those two link together brilliantly. Mack quickly to his left. Holder again. Long flat pass comes wide to Turner. along with Phil Mack, a long turn, tenured 7-star. This time for England, though, is Matt Turner, now playing fullback for the Seawolves.
Sorry. Come on.
High, reefing bomb there from Holder. A little bit too deep, though. The wind may have carried that down. Now, Vithi on the counter-attack. The Fijian. One-on-one. One of the hardest men to tackle in the league is Vithi. Up to the 40. Now they go down the blind side. Value there for Pangelian.
No, early. No
And
knock on,
perhaps
but taking him early.
Kalinisau may have been played a touch early there. Referee Summers agrees. Nice penalty there right in the halfway line. Now a chance for Houston to turn the screws here on the Seawolves.
Oh, I'm excited about Vithi, Dan. He's a real firecracker, and he's going to set this game on. Great kick.
Let's cut down to the sideline. Stacey Pates, conditions obviously hot. What else do you have?
Yeah, Dan, it is hot down here right now. Currently, as the sun is going down, it is still 90 degrees in Houston with 63% humidity. I spoke to some of the guys prior to the match. A lot of the Houston Sabercats were out here warming up hours before. Seattle, though, they kept a little bit more in the tank. They didn't come out and warm up until about an hour before. They wanted that sun to be as far out of the way as they could, but still high humidity right now.
Well, Stacey, hopefully you take the advice of the Seattle side and get out of that sun yourself. We're going to need you throughout the game. There's the Seawolves. That kick, obviously a little bit too deep there, Luke. Went over the in-goal, so it'll come back for a scrum. The ball has to cross the line in the field of play. Very similar to the touchback rule in American football in the NFL. No reward for kicking it too deep.
And we've just seen a turn scrum. Something you don't see too often anymore.
Not pushing straight.
There you hear Derek Summers explain that, not pushing straight. It's a very north-south movement, Luke. They want to see the scrum going north-south. Once you get that east-west wheel, referees will start blowing that whistle.
And it is a discipline of the game that really needs to be monitored. Summons is on top of that, and he's doing a good job.
Come on. 5. Perfect.
Shot of Windsor. Great story. Sammy Windsor grew up in the Canberra area, down in Australian Capital Territory, played a little bit in Queanbeyan before getting into the Brumbies Academy and then travelling through Europe before meeting his lovely wife.
Yeah, that's good.
Now living here in Houston and plying his trade for the Sabercats. Truville strong at the top. Now Windsor goes to the line. Flat pass across the front, finds Garber. Murphy. Back to his right, Mills. Hits a looping Murphy. Here's trouble. It's Hayden on Murphy. The front rower won't have the legs to go with Murphy. Back now, Vithi. That's Kalinisau, sorry, the outside centre over there.
Side. High tackle there as well.
Advantage for the high tackle. There's now the Sabercats, big numbers to the left. Another infraction at the breakdown, and now an opportunity, Luke, perhaps for Windsor to take those first points of the game.
Be very careful with
Interesting decision here, Dan. Do you take the points? Do you get on the scoreboard and get ahead early of this Seattle team, try and play the psychological game, or do you really try and put that pressure on and get over the line?
You talked about it in the open, Luke. They're at the bottom of the standings now. Mathematically, they're still alive in this inaugural season of Major League Rugby. But they're going to need bonus points, and they're going to get that through tries. I like this decision.
I'm with you, Dan. I agree wholeheartedly.
Stay on your side
and it's a very
out.
interesting concept of the game. The bonus point system, being within a certain reach of the end of the game, can really make a difference of whether you're in that final four or not.
Throw goes over, well handled by Garber, though, at the back. Slow ball for Murphy. Keeps it tight with his forwards. Neeson.
Leave it. Good,
Now
good, good. Through the gate.
Through the gate. Good pressure there coming in from Phil Mack. As the Sabercats continue to push their way down that right-hand touchline. Murphy now back towards the middle. Truville. We know he likes to play a little ball.
Leave.
Considers himself quite a handy ball playing forward. Sumption. Minus the scrum cap tonight. Windsor. Dummies. Well, he really is a triple threat, Windsor, and he can run, pass and kick. Have to be cautious whenever he has the ball in hand.
They have to protect their playmaker there, Dan. It's really imperative to get over that ball and protect that ball.
Mills. Looks for the opening. Nothing coming, though. This is what the Seawolves are renowned for. The aptly called Seawall. Their defensive line that does not break. Kalenisau, quick hands. It's going to break here. Mills had to pass early. Now Pangelian goes against the grain, cuts back in. Now Kalenisau. I think if Mills passes that ball immediately, Luke, they're in the corner.
That's a missed opportunity, Dan.
Murphy. Vithi. Plays that switch ball off Windsor.
He's not over the ball, it's fine.
The Seawall remains intact. Barkwell, low chopping tackle. Now Murphy to his right. Windsor, flat pass. Picks up Truval again. Sabercats continue to push this right-hand side. Little chip through, doesn't go to hand. Tiberio, what a great play from the left winger for the Seawolves. It gets turned right back over. Now Garber. Well, the defence so far from the Seawolves side simply outstanding as Mills goes into the 22. Tolotau over the top of the ball.
You're off the tee first.
Now Windsor, short. Stevens can't get through. Good ball retention here. Assumption goes forward now, just 10 metres from the line. Murphy, blindside, Kalenisau. Try saver there, comes in from Duchel, the beast.
Here we go, Romney. Yep.
Meeson may have spilt that one forward.
Out of there, tackler! Lead it, Green,
Thought I saw a ball come to the ground there, obviously not. As the Sabercats continue with Sumption.
No.
Well, Vithi's got some space out here, Dan, if they can get it out. Quick, deep movement. Very slow at the breakdown there, Dan.
Forward pass here.
And the decision not to take the three, although we agreed, now comes back to haunt the Sabercats and the Seawolves.
Get on the ball, though.
That defensive line, that integrity, Luke, outstanding.
Don't start anything after.
Absolutely. These are one of the moments in the game, Dan, when you really start to question what you did. What does this do to Houston's confidence?
Here we go.
See that.
That was a forward pass.
We really see that going forward there, but really having to protect that ball. Some of the bigger guys from Seattle, they're coming over that ball and really putting pressure on Houston, on Houston's retention. And this is where it really gets important to really protect that ball. You see Truval hanging off to the side there, coming over the top. Really important to keep that ball in hand.
Forward pass from Murphy there to Stevens. Now it's the Seawolves under pressure in their own 22 at the scrum.
Let's just hold the mark, yeah. All right.
Interesting tactics here from the Seawolves. Luke, they put Tim Metcher, the Australian, in the Rebels program down there, renowned for his scrummaging. He's been outstanding throughout the season. They put him on the bench, maybe a little bit of tactics, bring him out later when the scrum starts to tire slightly.
Look, we know Metcher's got a great football mind, so let's see how he goes later in the game, especially with these conditions. I think it's a smart move.
Reset, nobody moved anywhere.
Phil Mack's still as cheeky as ever, Dan, in there, dominating the scrum.
Don't wait too long, okay? We're going to play.
It's one of the unique positions of rugby, isn't it?
I understand that.
They say it's a game for all shapes and sizes, but that scrum half is reserved for the smallest and the spiciest.
Crouch.
Absolutely right with the spicy coming. Phil Mack lives up to that title.
Set. Get it in now.
Better platform. Houston appear to be going forward though. Turner. They'll run it out of their own 22 here.
Turn it over.
It's a knock on. We'll play the scrum.
The home crowd who have turned out in force tonight, they definitely like that call as well. Another opportunity just outside the 22 here for the Sabercats to attack.
Come on.
It's a great crowd here tonight, Dan, and this is where we're going to start to see some of the bigger players like Windsor come into their own. Let's see what he can do here down into the Seattle's territory. They really need to convert these into points from a psychological perspective at least.
Fine.
Luke, you mentioned it. Vithi's just sitting out here. He's lurking out here waiting for an opportunity. You've got an attacking weapon like Joshua Vithi. You just give him the ball. Let him do what he does best.
Dan, I want to see Houston get a bit deeper and give Vithi that space that he needs. It's definitely out here.
Esdale, another one of these danger players for the Sabercats. He's taken outside the 22. Truville, look for the quick tip on there. Defensive pressure, made him think twice, and wisely so. Stevens. Just shy of the 22. They come around the corner yet again now with Mullen. Again, they have not been able to crack through this Seawolves defense yet, as Meeson into the 22 of the Seawolves. Truville runs in to a very, very stiff opposition there in Duchel and Barkwell. Pressure comes up from Suniula, shuts it down. Worrying signs there. Kalinisau lurking up on the middle along with Vithi. And now turned over, no one at home. A favourable bounce here for the Sabercats as well as it kicks down to the 22. 11 on 11. It's Vithi and Tiberio.
Great defensive game there. Well done, Seattle.
Let it come, he's fine. Let
Just
it come.
like that, the Sabercats find themselves back on their own 22 now under pressure. Murphy finds Windsor, comes open side. Truville on the chase. Oh, big contact between Truville and Tolitahu. And both players on the ground. And there you see the reaction of the crowd. My jaw almost hits the table as well. Big, big collision coming in there.
Time off.
Big contact, as you said there, Dan. I think it was a fair challenge. I think two players collided, both going for the ball. And here we see a relatively shallow kick from Windsor. Oh, there it is there. Big contact from Truville. Let's hope both players are okay and they can continue on with this game. But that's what rugby is all about, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very physical game. People get hurt, all types of the game.
Good to see Matt Truville back on his feet. And really, that's two big bodies, well over 230 pounds each. They're coming together at an alarming pace as we see Tolitahu there. Well, is he in the air? That's the only question there, Luke.
That's actually a really good question on second look there, Dan. This could end up with someone's reviewing this.
Truville.
I can't look at it. I do not have a TMO. Stop asking me for that. Okay? Yeah, thank you.
You can see Phil Mack asking the question there, Dan. Really putting the pressure on Summers. Not sure.
I'll take that.
Stacey, any update on the players down there? You're pretty close to the action.
I'm still going to keep a close eye on these gentlemen. Obviously, I was literally right in front of them, probably just 5 or 6 yards away when they both collided. There was such a loud bang, and they were obviously not looking so good, but they're both playing right now. Guys, tell us a little bit more, tell the listeners more how this heat could affect injury.
Look, absolutely, Stacey, and thanks for bringing that point up. Fatigue plays a major factor in these types of games, in these types of conditions. And what you'll see there is Truville going in for that contact, heavy contact. Sometimes we're just too tired and too fatigued to pull out of those things last minute. And here you see another indiscretion at the scrums, Dan. Something they're going to have to clean up through tonight.
These set-piece scrums, penalties, sorry, Luke, could come back to haunt one of these sides.
Real opportunity for Windsor.
Really, this is just a simple piggyback, isn't it? What Seattle have gifted the Sabercats here is an easy 30 metres out of their own end.
You're right, Dan, and just to put the psychology back into this game of rugby, so many times when you're at dire straits of the moment of playing like yourself, Dan, and you psychologically, field position mean everything. So Seattle had a real opportunity there to put the foot on the pedal, so to speak, with Houston and really break them psychologically from getting out of having so much pressure down their own end. I think that was a wasted opportunity from Seattle, and I think they let them off easy.
Great shot there from behind Lindsay Stevens. Sabercat took her, overthrows. As they come midfield, Windsor lets two go before he picks up Garber. The open side flanker looking to penetrate on the outside there. Turned over again. Now, Tolitahu has recovered from the hit, finds Tiberio. He's had a real impact on this side. Peter Tiberio out in that wing. Just such a high energy player. Mack.
Go back. Never got back. Advantage.
Offside advantage there as Crumrye goes forward.
Never retreated fully.
And Brock Staller has a pretty decent boot, Luke. This is probably in his range on the 40.
it's going to be really good to see the differing game plans of these teams here as to what the decision is. They're taking the 3 there, Dan, but going back, Tolitahu is popping up all over the field for such a big player. What an impact he's had here early in this opening 18 minutes of this game.
I'm loving the season he's having. The only downside I have is I have a feeling he's going to get picked up after the Major League Rugby season. He could be off to Europe on a lucrative contract over there.
That one. He was all over it.
We heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Dan Power.
No scoop. No Adam Schefter, I promise.
Here we go. So he's actually got the wind at his back right now.
Yeah.
So distance shouldn't be a problem. Let's see what the accuracy's like.
That's enough. That's good. Yep.
He just looks like a rugby player, doesn't he, Dan Staller?
He's a good servant too for the Seawolves. Surprised not to see his name in the Canadian outfit the squad picked. I'm sure his time is not too far off.
And he's pushed that, Dan. Pushed it to the left. Distance wasn't a problem. The accuracy came back to bite him.
Yeah, we were on the field earlier, Luke, and the wind plays a little different at Dyer Stadium, doesn't it? It certainly affects the ball the higher it goes.
I must say, I was very surprised at how swirly the wind was out there, Dan, earlier pre-game. Having a look around, we really couldn't get the...
There's no attempt to ball the man here, yeah.
That one against Joshua Vithi.
Taking the man here, he's clearly in the air, yeah.
Playing the man, not the ball.
Go back 10.
Vithi looks frustrated, Dan. He's looking for those opportunities, he's looking for that space.
You know, he sat out with the suspension, Luke, and it's always, you
ball
know how frustrating it is,
yeah.
whether injury, even more so suspension, when you're sitting out watching your team go through some struggling times. You really want to make an impact when you get back out there, but forcing your hand definitely doesn't get it done.
You're right, I was always a very fair player, Dan, so there was not too many suspensions. But coming back from an injury and really wanting to prove yourself, if not to everyone watching the game, but just to yourself.
Get in!
Good opportunity here for the Seawolves as Barkwell on point with the throw. Mack midfield.
Great line.
It's a charging Russellika as well.
Advantage.
I'm sure he has plenty to prove against his countrymen in Vithi and Kalinisau. High shot will come back for the penalty for the high tackle.
We'll come back.
I think they've got to keep the pressure on here, Dan. I think they've got the run of the momentum. They've got a lot of space out to that left-hand side if they can get the ball wide.
Get on the goal line, fellas.
I'm really liking the depth of the Seattle back line, something that Houston could take a leaf out of their book of.
Gents, what are we doing?
And you can see the front row. They want to scrum. Brock Staller probably wants to take 3 points.
Yeah.
Interesting move, Dan. Going for the line-out. They obviously fancy themselves in the line-out.
Well, that is a massive kudos to the Sabercats scrum.
Here we go. Yeah.
Every other game I've seen, the Seawolves would have elected to take a scrum 5 out from the line and back their forward pack. They're gone for the line-out. So the Sabercats, they have definitely curbed the initial onslaught of the Seawolves scrum.
They might try and pull this ball down early, Dan, and drive it over using the pure force and strength of that big Seattle forward pack.
You're the receiver, just stay there. No, you're good right here. You're good right here.
Is it real risk here, Dan? Wow.
Well, you could hear the noise coming from the Sabercats forward pack, really trying to get in the head of Barkwell, and it appears to have worked.
Absolutely, Dan, and it really is, for ladies and gentlemen at home, important to understand the influence that a lot of these key players can have on the officials, and continual talking at the breakdowns, at the line-out, at the scrum. It can really make someone start to second-guess himself tonight, and it could influence this game.
Here we go. Crouch. Bind. Set.
It'll be Murphy with the put in here for the Sabercats, still on their own 5-metre line. Assumption off the back. Tolitahu goes low and brings him down.
Yeah.
They're going to run it from their own in goals. Vithi.
This is dangerous territory, Dan. Very dangerous territory.
How about the footwork from Vithi, though? He picks up 30 metres, and just like that, the Sabercats are out of trouble. Murphy, though, under pressure. And now the turnover. Well, Murphy just had a little bit of a peek up there and didn't see the ball pop out. And just like that, it's a turnover. Rasalika for the Seawolves. And that's play on now for the Sabercats. As the advantage comes to the Seawolves, quick hands. Shermer, Staller, one-on-one with Sumption, with Coyle, my apologies. And he brings him down on the 5. Now Mack to the middle. Gordon. They had some numbers to the left, Luke. It seems to have been matched up now by the Sabercat side.
You're right, Dan, yeah. They needed much quicker delivery of that ball out of that ruck.
Backwards, no, counter ruck.
Seattle elect to keep it tight yet again. Drum right. Holder patiently waiting to the left here. That's him with the ball now. Suniula. Mack. Down the blind side. Kicks. Pick up from Esdale. Looks like out there. Take him back in. We'll come to the 5 for a scrum. The pressure continuing to mount here for the Sabercats.
Important point there, Dan, to see and explain to the ladies and gentlemen at home that if you do take that ball back into your end zone there, that it is a 5-metre scrum. However, if he was to wait until the ball did cross the line and ground it, it's a very different.
Okay, we have an injury. We'll take one here.
And here we come back in over. The injury. Just watching Seattle control the ball at that ruck. Well, really tight game plan from Seattle tonight.
It's been a tight one, 0-0 after 24 minutes. When we return from the break, the action from the first half continues as the Sabercats and Seawolves continue to battle it out.
Of the T-shirt toss tonight. The fans, every time your Sabercats score a try, Lady Cats will be throwing out free T-shirts courtesy of Aviva.
And welcome back to Dyer Stadium in Houston, Texas. It's all locked up at 0-0. It's been a defensive stand from both these sides early on. Luke Milton, your thoughts on the opening 20?
Look, I've been really impressed, Dan. The one thing that I will say is Houston do need to get a lot deeper. Playing outside of you, I always had the privilege of knowing that if I had the space, I'd get the ball. And it's a one thing that I think Vithi will be very, very frustrated with at the moment. There have been moments throughout the game where he seemingly had a mismatch, seemingly had the space if he got the ball, and we haven't been able to get it out to him yet. Let's see if that changes later in this first half.
I couldn't agree more with you there, Luke Milton. You can see the frustration in Vithi as well. You've got an attacking weapon in the shape of Joshua Vithi. Just give him the ball. Let him do his thing.
You're absolutely right, Dan. And as an outside player in the game of rugby, you can only do what's happening inside you. So he needs delivery of that ball. He needs it clean, he needs it fresh, and he needs to be able to show us what he can do.
Crouch. Bind. Set. Hold it.
It'll be Mack with the put in on the 5 here for the Seawolves.
We'll play it, we'll play it.
Comes to the right with Holder. Suniula. Rasalika back on the inside. Tough to tackle Rasalika. Gets away from Windsor. Esdale comes at him and brings him down on the 5. That ball spills out to the side. Could be turned over.
Lead it, Black. Lead it, lead it.
Oh, he's done a great job.
A real skirmish there at the breakdown.
Number 11 put his hands on the ground initially.
You see Vithi getting his hands in the ruck. Number 11 being called right in front of the post. 3 points on offer.
Put his hands on the ground. That's why he stayed.
Tolatahu did a great job protecting that ball there and making Vithi come over the top there to cause the infringement.
What do we want? Shot. Shot, goal.
You hear the forwards. Take the points, boys, is the call. Not a bad one either after 25, just to break this deadlock.
I agree with this decision, Dan. I think it's very important to get those points on the board, psychologically at least, just to get in front on the scoreboard leading into this final 10 minutes of the first half. Really important time in this game.
There is Phil Mack, such an important cog in the wheel that is the Seawolves.
That's not the information I'm getting.
And you can't buy experience, Dan, and Phil has that in abounds. He's directing this Seattle team around the field, and I think that all of that experience is going to come off into decisions like this.
And conversion is successful. It's 3 points to 0. The Seawolves with the lead here after 25 minutes. And this is big, like you talked about in the lead-up, Luke. Houston are at the bottom of the table, still alive. The last thing they want to do is get a couple of quick tries put on them here. You'll see the head drop, the body language, and that's what Justin Fitzpatrick and his team can't afford.
Really important to stay up here, and I think this is where Windsor comes into his own, keeping his team up, keeping them positive, and really finishing this game. Great turn of events for Houston.
Mullen.
Advantage, knock on.
As they have the advantage for the knock-on, they go wide. First with Kalinasau. Gold medalists in the Olympic Games in Rio for Fiji. Fiji's first ever gold medal.
There we see him taking a quick tap.
And that's that Fijian style of rugby that the world has come to love, Luke, is that ab-lib, just play what you see.
Play. No.
Enjoy your rugby.
It's entertaining, isn't it, Dan? And I tell you what, he almost caught them napping.
Truville. Again, you can see how flat the Sabercats are. You could almost throw a tissue over the Sabercats back line, all standing up very flat. They seem to have listened to you, Luke. Vithi getting another touch there.
It's really important now, Dan, that Vithi doesn't fatigue himself by coming in looking for the work. It's important that Windsor gets the ball out to him rather than Vithi coming in and trying to create something from nothing and matching it up against the stronger and bigger forwards.
Right now, the Seawolves just teeing off in defence. As the Sabercats not playing with any layers, any shape, as you would call it. You'd hit the nail on the head really well, not playing with depth.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that can really change this game, Dan, if they can just get a little bit deeper. You know from yourself, when you get the momentum, you get it with depth. And it's really important to hit that line and hit it hard, and you can't do that from a flat standpoint.
Veteran hooker Ray Barkwell on your screens. He will join Team Canada after this game. They have a huge 2018 ahead of them as they look to qualify for the World Cup in 2019 in Japan.
It's not gone.
Advantage for the Seawolves. It's Hayden.
Hey, just play. Stay on.
Mack, slow ball. Goes back into the pocket. Holder.
Advantage over.
Back three set up though. That's a great kick from Holder. Gets over the head of Vithi. Favourable bounce for the Fijian though. Now Pangelian. Booming kick from Pangelian, the fullback. That gets up towards the halfway line. He returns from a suspension as well. 2 yellow cards against Nola Gold 2 weeks ago. They will rely heavily on the explosive play of Zach Pangelian.
Pangelian did a good job to get that ball out close to the halfway mark into this strong breeze, Dan. It's deceiving. This breeze has really popped up the last 5 minutes.
Be careful about yelling, all right? You're yelling in calls. I'm not okay with that, all right?
Summers asserting his authority there, Dan. I like to see officials that do that.
Duchel, strong at the back. Great throw to 6. Now, that depth. Well, I'm not too sure about that call there.
That was touch and go, Dan. I'd love to see that on a replay. Great line, but that's the depth that we're talking about there, Dan. And look how dangerous Seattle look when they get that dance.
We'll get a look. Great throw to 6. Look at Duchel here, strong in the air. Let's just pass it. Great throw to 6. Oh, yeah. Marginal. Good call from Summers, though.
I think it was a good call from Summers, Dan. I think that was marginal. In real life, it really looked like a flat ball, but it is the privilege of seeing that replay that really changes the opinion on that. Great call, Summers.
The Sabercats right on the halfway line here.
Advantage.
They have the advantage. They come down. Pangelian. Kalenisau. Can't get around his opposite number in Rusalika. Assumption under pressure. No advantage. Will come back for the penalty at the scrum. Another one against the Seawolves at the scrum. And again, the swirling breeze will probably keep the tee on the sideline. Windsor, I don't know if he's got 50 metres in that leg of his in this kind of stiff wind.
Not in these conditions, Dan. I think play field position here, keep the pressure on, and let's see if they can convert some of this pressure into some points on that scoreboard. But just a quick wrap for Summers. That's a really hard call to make there, Dan. In the heat of the moment, that was a great call on the forwards pass, and it's good to give some officials some credit.
Tomorrow at 1 Eastern, join CBS Sports Network live from the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Regionals as some of the world's best athletes are put to the test and take first step towards being crowned the fittest on earth. Of course, last year, Luke, 2 of the top 3 in the women's Australian girls. Tia Claire Toomey got the win after a disappointing year the year before, coming second. And Matt Fraser, the American, so close for so long. Now he's on the top of the heap. Reminds me of the great Arnold Schwarzenegger quote, "The wolf climbing the mountain is hungrier, but when the wolf on top wants the food, it's there."
Dan, some great athletes in the Reebok CrossFit Games. Some great athletes out here tonight. Great to see the Aussie girls doing well. There must be something in the water down there.
Mack. He's looking to find safer waters here on this field as he goes to Vithi. Opportunity to counter right. Vithi, though, he wants his touches as he jinks his way upfield.
Well, he's electric, isn't he, Dan?
Yeah, guys like Joshua Vithi, watching him run with the ball as he gets yet another touch makes me very happy to be up here with you, Luke.
You and me both, Dan. I'd like to match my speed and agility to him, but I'll only be doing it from up here.
Windsor. Truville.
Here comes Truville.
Pulls it down to Coyle.
Tackle now, leave.
Again, very lateral from the Sabercats side to side. They need some direct running at depth. As Windsor elects to just do it all himself there. Gets the nose through, can't get the ball away. And now a knock on against the Sabercats. And if body language tells you anything, Luke, I see a lot of frustration in the black and gold.
You're right, Dan, and that's a real example of Windsor taking it upon himself and trying to stick his nose through. Look, he needs some support here if Houston are to penetrate this Seattle defence. There you see Windsor getting through the gap, coming back with that support, but it was too late under too much pressure. We really need to see some more depth. Really need to see some more depth. But Meeson did a great job getting to him. Just needs to focus a little bit more on that hand coordination. But is this fatigue starting to set in now, Dan? Are we seeing these conditions come into play?
Well, that's what you talked about, Luke. The effects of this heat and fatigue on the brain. Decision-making is the first thing to go. And we're starting to see some of that little 50-50 passes that normally you wouldn't throw or normally you would catch.
Sure.
Not happening.
Yeah, under pressure there, Meeson. But one of the catchable passes, I think we need to really see Houston step that foot on the accelerator and really step up this intensity.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Again, good push coming in from the Sabercats. There's a loose pass from Shermer. Pressure here for Stoller.
Is that collapse? Yeah, the collapse. Thank you. Was that a collapse? Oh, okay, boring in.
And there you hear the call coming in from the assistant referee on the unsided side of the scrum for Summers for boring in.
Look, what we're seeing here is boring in from the side there, really coming in, but you saw Murphy put a lot of pressure on there, and he was very confused by that call. Be interesting to see that again. Really seeing that pressure on the forwards. Seattle are doing a great job here at really talking to Summers and getting him through some of these calls. That was a tough one on Houston.
Buckle stolen though by Garver.
Ball's available.
Ball's laid back. Again, pressure from the Seawolves though. Assumption. The number 8, that one spills backwards. Vithi. Well, the left winger, he's everywhere but the left wing. He's popping up all over the field.
You're right, Dan, and you see right now we've got a prop out here now. It would have been a great opportunity for a mismatch. but he's in the middle of the field.
There's Tiberio. He's able to field that high kick. The Seawolves now.
Houston looked tired, Dan.
Yeah, we talked about the advantage going to the Sabercats. Being in Houston, used to the conditions, they really do not look like they're handling it as well as the Seawolves are.
And I'd love to go back to a point that Stacey made earlier. Coming out for that extended warm-up. Has that played into the fatigue too early for them tonight? Time will tell, but they do look like they need a little bit of motivation coming into this final 5 minutes. A really important time in a rugby game, the 5 minutes before halftime and the 5 minutes after. You can really dictate the terms of the game during that break.
Well, statistically, there's 72% more points scored in the final 5 minutes than any other period of the game.
And I think we're going to see that here, Dan. The Seattle team look like they're hungry for points, and it looks like they might execute on that here.
They come down, Holder. Suniula off the right foot, straightens up into the defensive line there. Yeah, not releasing on the Seawolves, and just like that, the wind, it evaporates out of the sails.
An important rule there too, Dan. As soon as that player, the attacking players, hit the ground with defensive players on him, very important to release that ball immediately. Holding onto that ball and waiting for your defense or for your attacking players to get around you is a no-no.
Let's go down to the sideline now with Stacey Pates with an update.
You've talked a lot about Houston and how maybe the pep is out of their step a little bit, but there's something not to forget. When you look at the Seattle Seahawks, they crushed NOLA twice while Houston lost to them twice. Another question might be the stamina of Seattle, as this heat is not necessarily getting to Houston. As you mentioned, maybe it's some frustration going on with the team. I stood behind their bench for a little while. They're just very quiet. I think they've got a lot on their minds, knowing that there's been some missed opportunities. But these are two teams you don't know what's going to happen. This was a matchup we were looking forward to, and it's going to be a good end.
Absolutely, Stacey. Brilliant stuff down there. I agree wholeheartedly. Losing those close games, as much as you want to say, and you said Sam Windsor mentioned it with Stacey's interview, I'll just keep the fun in it. It's easy to say it. The psychological side of it's so difficult, Luke, when you feel like you're just not getting a rub of the green in these games, and you're just more and more negative.
Very hard to pull yourself out of, Dan, and that's where you do look to your key players like Windsor to really step up and go. I think if Vitzi can get right in there close to him, get a bit of space, and they can get some points on the ground, you might actually see this game start to turn a little bit. But it's really important for Windsor to lead that charge.
Set! Slip here.
Nothing happening there. That scrum will reset.
Also an opportunity around the scrum here for Murphy to be talking to his forwards, getting them motivated and really starting to get that energy back into the forwards. As you've seen, it's been a tight game. A lot of it's been played in the forwards, Dan. And I'll tell you what I'm feeling for them. It's a hot night, it's a steamy night, and these boys are sweating it up.
Crouch. Fine. Set! Okay.
Let's listen in here to Derek Summers. He's got some explaining to do.
Time off, time off.
No need for that, Luke. There's no need for that.
That was pretty stable. You hurry it up. Can you just hurry it up for me?
Apologise for the colourful language there. Players in the heat of the moment.
I don't know how long you want, but...
And they're soldiers at war, aren't they, Dan? Sometimes they let the ones slip out there.
Here we go, boys.
Still a game played by gentlemen.
Here we go, boys. Let's go.
Crouch.
And that's, you talked about players influencing the official. You just heard Phil Mack there, just giving Derek Summers a hint. Just watch the early movement here.
Yeah, again, that experience really playing out.
Mack scoots down the blind side as he toes that one through. A little bit too much on it though from Mack. Out in the full, and it'll come all the way back to where he kicked it.
Got to say, bad mistake there from Mack, damn it. Really opens that door again for Houston to have a late run at this try line. Well, let's see if they can convert this mistake into some points. You don't want to give Houston an opportunity here leading into the break. We can see a different reflection on that scoreboard.
Just step back here on the end. Yeah.
Really important Seattle keep their discipline here too, Dan. Final stage of the first half, fatigue set in, discipline's out the window. If they give away an infringement here, it does give Windsor the opportunity to put 3 points on the board and go in at even standings.
Strong work from Tolitahu. Even better work to get that to go backwards as well. Now, Suniula. Mills. Up to the challenge of his opposite number. Now Shermer. This is the danger time for the Sabercats, right on the stroke of half-time. As Gordon offload to Holder. He's isolated, needs some support. Staller. Right on the 22 of the Sabercats here. To the middle of the field, Gordon, a little opening for the front rower. Now short, Barkwell, big collision.
So Dan, now we're in extra time, so the next stoppage, that's it, it's a half-time break. Oh. Except if there's a penalty, that's the exception there, isn't it, Dan? So now they've got the decision. Do they go for the one-play wonder and try and convert into a try, or take the 3 points, go into the break, reconvene and come out 6-0 up?
Let's listen in here, Derek Summers.
Just one single player. If he continues to infringe when we get in the second half, he's going to go off. You were beaten by the ruck. I told you to leave it, okay?
Just listen to him when he
Back
says
Sure.
Now, there you go. I was going to say, it's a tough one. What's the difference between 6 points, possibly 10 points or 3 points? Not much. Understandably, though, they want to get to the sheds. They'll take the 3.
I think it's a good decision, Dan. Considering the fatigue level at this stage of the first half, take the points. They're in the bank. Go in at 6-0, reconvene, touch back on that game plan and come back out with a little bit more energy in this second half. I do say that these conditions are going to favour Houston with the wind at their back into this second half. Let's see how many points it's got in it.
And no mistakes in front from Staller, right through the middle. It's 6 points to 0 at the halftime break. The Seawolves on the road, getting it done here against the Sabercats in what was a grueling opening 40 minutes, Luke. You've already given your thoughts on it. I'm pretty sure you're going to reiterate again for the Sabercats. They've just got to get some depth and some variety in their attack.
They really do, Dan, and I think that was another, that indiscretion, the penalty that came right at the end there. You saw Vithi really, his frustration coming to the fore.
Let's go down now with the Seawolves captain, Phil Mack, who's with Stacey Pates.
Captain and coach Phil Mack, talk about what you are going to say to your guys at halftime.
Shalom Suniula is the captain of this squad. I just help out a little bit. But I think all we're going to say is just keep the ball, play to our system. I think we've had pretty good defense in spurts, but the main thing is just playing as a team and not going off script. And when we play to our system, it's pretty easy. When we don't, it turns into an arm wrestle, and that's what these guys want.
You say you help out a little bit. I'm not going to let that go. I know you do more than just a little bit. In what ways can you gain an advantage because defense on both sides has been really strong?
I think it's just continuity. We're not making crisp decisions with the ball. When we string 3-4 phases, I feel like we're getting good go forward. So it's a matter of playing rugby in the right areas and keeping the ball.
Thank you for your time. We'll see you in the second half.
It's going to be a big 40 required from Phil Mack and the Seawolves. We'll take a break. When we return, all the highlights from the first half as Seattle go to the break in front, 6 points to 0 over the Sabercats. Welcome back to Dyer Stadium in Houston, Texas. It's 6-0, the Seawolves over the Sabercats at halftime in an enthralling defensive battle here for Week 7 of Major League Rugby. And that's not all that's happening on CBS Sports. It's Tiki and Turney weekdays 3 to 6. Nothing is too tough to tackle for the former NFL running back Tiki Barber and co-host Brandon Tierney. Get all the sports debate and expertise you need from Tiki and Turney. Weekdays starting at 3 Eastern on CBS Sports Network. Great New York Giant running back Tiki Barber. And this is game 2 of Week 7, of course. Last night, in the heat of Austin, Texas, we saw the home side get 2 wins in a row, Luke, 41-33 over a resurgent Utah Warriors side.
Yeah, really interesting, and what it does to this competition and the standings, Dan, you're really starting to see some teams with the opportunity to finish this competition strong and really dice up that top 4. You see 2 teams here that are really going to start to challenge, and let's see if we can turn up that top 4 and change it up towards the end of the season, because as you know, this is where it really starts to become important. Everyone wants to be in that top 4 coming home, and you're going to see a couple of these bottom teams start to challenge a couple of the 3rd and the 4th ranks.
It is a race to June 30th, the semi-finals in Colorado. When we return from the break, we continue the build-up to the second half. It's the Sabercats and the Seawolves from Houston, Texas. Welcome back to Houston, Texas, as the Lady Cats are getting the crowd pumped up here at halftime. 6 points to 0. It's the visiting side, the Seawolves in the lead here at halftime, Luke. And the action on CBS Sports, it just keeps getting bigger and better. Next week, a massive game in playoff implications as Nola Gold, they host the San Diego Legion.
Well, as you mentioned there, Dan, huge implications for the standings of this competition. So you've got two teams there that are really starting to threaten that top four. And as you know, as an ex-player, Dan, as like myself, you want to be in that top four coming into the business end of this season. That's when you do it.
It's all about finals football and the race to finals football when we return the second half. Seawolves and Sabercats coming up. We are back at Dyer Stadium here in Houston, Texas. Halftime almost at its end, 6 points to 0. It's the Seawolves and Sabercats battling it out. As the Seawolves, they look to stay atop the table. The Sabercats looking to claw their way into the top four. And we take a look, you talked about conditions ad nauseum tonight. Luke, both of us have. The benches, they're going to pay a huge impact here. Both reserves. Let's take a look at that Houston reserve bench.
Huge impact, Dan, and I think I'm going to look towards the Aussie Turnbull here to come out and really add that spice to this Houston second half. I'm really interested to see those big legs of Yosefo come out of the NFL and into Major League Rugby and try and make a little bit of an impact to try and bring these guys home.
Well, for me, the focus goes on the usual starting props for the Seawolves in Seattle. It's Khalifi and Mecha. I really think the tactics of putting them on the bench could play dividends here tonight for the Seattle Seawolves. Once those two get on the field, the scrum should shift in the favour of the Seawolves. Keep your eye on those two. They'll be in the 17 and 18 jersey. Well, folks, we are moments away from kickoff here as the players are making their way back out onto the field. Major League Rugby in 2018, well, it has been an absolute belter of a year. It's only going to get better as we come to the closing stages. The Seawolves, they're very close to punching their ticket to the finals. The Sabercats, they're still a chance, Luke, but they have to come back here tonight.
You're absolutely right, Dan. They are still a chance, but they have to start this first 5 minutes with absolute energy and absolute conviction that they can get on the right side of this scoreboard come the end of this game. Garnering possession is going to be a huge part of this second half, but I'm really interested in seeing how this first 5 minutes goes. Very important part of the game, Dan, and I think it's going to, whoever wins this first 5 minutes of the game, in my mind, will win the game.
See a good look at the crowd. Luke, let's put on your coaching cap here for a moment. Firstly, for the Seawolves, the visiting side, what your message would have been at the halftime break?
Really good point, Dan. I don't know if I would have ever made a good coach, but I'm going to take some of the great ones that I got to be coached by. Look, Discipline's going to be the key for Seattle here. Discipline and control. If they can control the football and really start to think about some of their substitutes that you just mentioned coming on, giving them fresh pairs of legs, they can come home strong here. Look, they're going to have to play field position, and they've got it up against them with this wind. The conditions have changed since we've been sitting here. Houston are now favoured for this second half. Seattle have to weather the storm, they have to win this first 5 minutes, and they have to win this game.
Let's go down to Stacey with an update from the Houston Sheds.
Well, Dan and Luke, I just spoke with their head coach, Justin Fitzpatrick, and he told me he actually thought it was an exciting first half because he was happy with their effort, he was happy with their hustle, but at the same time, he mentioned they were unlucky, not able to convert their good plays into points. He also said he's hoping that by wearing down Seattle's team, that could play in their favor. They're hoping to get the just rewards for their positive efforts in this next 40 minutes.
Thank you, Stacey. As we await the whistle of Derek Summers, there have been some changes at the break, as I see Ollie Khalifi in the 17 jersey for the Seawolves already out in the field. So the fresh legs for Seattle as Holder goes deep. Garber, under pressure from Tiberio, does well to maintain possession there. Murphy to his left. Finds Sumption. Now slow ball for Murphy.
Go back.
Lex to go high with the box kick. Dolitahu underneath it. Esdale comes at the big number 7.
Great strength by the winger there, Dan.
Now they keep it tight. Firstly with Paulson, the Canadian. They come down the blind side. There's some numbers here. Tiberio jinks his way back in field. Tiberio, he slices right through 2 defenders up to the 22 now. Down the blind side, Holder. Well, the pass just got to go to hand. It would have been a 2-on-1 with Turner and Russellika, but Holder elects to go to the cut pass over the sideline instead. An opportunity goes begging for the Seawolves.
We can see who stepped up the intensity early in this second half, Dan. Seattle have come out all guns blazing, and I think that's going to go really, really well for them in this first 5 minutes of the second half.
Go spread, Jake.
Stevens with his first throw of the second half. For the Houston line out. They find Truval, a safe target. Now midfield, Windsor. Goes across to Garber with a flat ball. Again, Murphy. And Windsor fakes the kick and goes up. I'd really like to see Murphy play a little bit quicker at the back of this breakdown, Luke. He seems very, very, I'm not going to say slow.
And if you go back into him, no.
Give me a word.
Great point there, Dan. We really do need Murphy to start to get that ball from the ground straight into Windsor's hands. This is going to be really imperative for Houston tonight, for Windsor to take advantage of this breeze at their back. He should have had that ball much quicker, and that ball should right now be down in Seattle's 20. Instead, we've got Seattle putting some pressure on Houston's line.
Methodical. Methodical was the word I was after.
Don't put 2 Australians together if you want a vocabulary lesson.
Well, the heat seems to be getting to me as well, Luke. Now another big scrum here for the Seawolves.
No delay, okay?
Don't dip out!
Crouch! Bind! Set!
Good initial push from the Sabercats. As they go to the line, Holder plays out the back. Now Turner, one-on-one. Turner, great hands, Tiberio. Esdale does well to drift off there. Reel the winger in.
I got one.
Mack. Low pass to Shell, can't handle. Now Khalifi. Deem knocked backwards. Offside advantage. It comes in there against Chris Coyle.
Mack thought about the quick start there, Dan. It would have been a very interesting play into the forwards, and into the forwards that are holding their hands on their hips already. We're 3.5 minutes into the second half.
6, never onside.
Holder, pinpoint accuracy on the penalty.
This is where Holder really can step up here, get his backs nice and deep, put one into that right corner down there and really start to put some points onto this board for this early second half game.
Well, this Army representative, former West Point graduate.
He's a quality player, Dan. He's led the Seattle team around really well tonight, been really consistent, and let's see if they can convert that into some points now with a 5-pointer.
Barkwell at the back. As they roll around.
Down, let's use it.
Inching towards the post here. Mack at the back. Finds Holder inside Tiberio. What a set play! Beautiful stuff from the Seawolves, and Tiberio, he's been threatening all night. He gets the try.
Great line there from the back, but we've talked about that depth all night, Dan. That's a huge example there, a great example, very clear of what happens when you get with depth and really play into it. Tiberio, great line, great angle, great ball there, 5-pointer. Here we go to start the night.
Well, the winger from Aurora, Illinois, used to be known for Wayne's World. It could soon be known as Peter Tiberio's World. As we take a look at the replay, talk us through this line, Luke.
Yeah, fantastic. You're going to see here the forwards really keep possession nice and tight. They're giving their backs a little bit of an opportunity to get that depth and set with the time. You're going to see Mack play a pivotal role here with a quick ball straight out, and there we go. Great vision there and great depth. Really strong in the line out there too, Dan.
They've got to give credit to Will Holder here to have the patience. It's very difficult at fly half to have the patience as you watch the forwards go to maintain your shape and the depth of the players around you.
And this is where rugby is a very unique sport, Dan. Holder having the confidence that Tiberio was going to make that angle and make that line almost sight unseen, but having the confidence to throw that ball, that has turned into points for Seattle, and that is a turning point in the game, in my opinion.
No mistakes on the conversion, 13 points to 0. That opening 5 minutes you talked about, Luke, is gone in the favour of the Seawolves. Let's see if they can continue that. There's Mack. They're full of running. They come wide. Turner with the bounce. Picks it up. Turner. Linasau is able to reel in the fullback for the Seawolves.
Tackle now.
Just like that, they're already on the Sabercats side of halfway. Suniula goes wide. Dolatau. He's brought down. They lose some meters on that play, the Seawolves. Mack elects to go high. They'll play the territory game here. The Seawolves quite happy to let the Sabercats make the mistakes. Windsor comes wide, picks up Mills. Mills gets through half a gap. Shermer does well.
Turnover, play on.
Now turned over by the Seawolves, it appears. As Mack finds Deschel.
We'll play that one. That's okay.
Deschel.
Okay.
He's leaned out a lot, the beast. He's a big man still. They need the minutes from him. Holder, Shermer.
Yeah.
Now we'll come back for the handling. It looked like a little knock on from Mack at the back of the breakdown.
Yeah, look, guys, we're really starting to see rugby really come to the fore now. You're seeing the physicality of the players coming in over the top. Murphy needed to get to this breakdown a lot sooner. And you see great positioning there and great strength from the Seattle team to cause that turnover, Dan. But again, the urgency seems to be with the Seattle team.
I agree with you wholeheartedly there, Luke. They've definitely come out of the sheds, the more motivated of the two squads here. Still plenty of time left on the clock, 33 minutes left to play.
Absolutely. And we really started to see in this opening 7 minutes that Houston really need to get out of their own way. There's some 50-50 calls that are going against them, but there's some 50-50 opportunities that they're not taking advantage of. There was a big opportunity there, 40 metres out from the Seattle line to get the turnover, and unfortunately they couldn't execute on it.
Well, they have Zach Pangelian standing by himself on this short side.
Here we go. Crouch.
On the camera side that you see right there.
Just get ready to
Look
put
for
it in.
Sumption off the back of the scrum with Murphy to come down this blind side. They come down. Pangelian low pass, can't handle, and the frustration continues to build here for the Sabercats.
You're absolutely right, Dan. And again, they're the players. Great idea, poor execution. down the outside here. There was a real opportunity down the blind side, a one-on-one competition. We used to love doing those back in the day, Dan, and it was a real opportunity missed. One-on-one with an opposing player, that's what rugby's all about.
Big call, Stand up.
And Luke, at what point do you go to the bench if you're Justin Fitzpatrick down by 13?
Dan, I think it's still a little bit early. I think the risk that you run now by using your bench too early is that you fatigue these bigger guys, and there's still 30 minutes of rugby to play, which, as you know, can be an eternity in these conditions. I think he has to hold off for another 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes, and then really get some impact in there. Maybe his hand will be forced.
Fine.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Luke. I think that closing 25 minutes is going to be key here for both these sides. There's Mack to his right, finds Holder. Lets two go. Rusalika back on the inside. Rusalika. He doesn't hit holes, he makes holes. The number 13 for the Seawolves. Now Khalifi. Fresh legs for the Seawolves. Holder, little kick through.
Play on.
Well defended though by the Sabercats as Dushell. Takes it up to the 22 here now for Seattle. Shermer to the line, little dummy, there's a little opening there for Shermer. It closed as quickly as it opened though. Now pressure comes in from the Sabercats.
Count up and lost.
And again, another really important point for the viewers at home. You can't play off the ground.
Black 1, black 4.
And there's those substitutions you mentioned right at the 50-minute mark. Hewitt and Turnbull come on. You were very excited to see Turnbull, another one of these good scrummaging forwards the Sabercats have.
I am, Dan. I'm looking forward to see if Turnbull can really increase the intensity. And we've got a little bit of a blood bin coming out now.
Just go off. Just go off.
From Stephen. So, ladies and gentlemen, with the blood rule, you can come off and you can actually go back on. You can be substituted whenever there is a head collision or whenever there is blood that's going to affect the flow of the game. Other than that, a substitution is final and you will not return if it's not due to injury.
That's right. The medical staff will have an opportunity to stem the flow. Once that's cleaned up and patched up, he can return to the field. Makwera, he steps into hooker now. So nearly an entirely new front row for the Sabercats, just like that with Mullen in the 3 jersey, the only starter left on there.
Bind. Set.
Not much change, pretty stagnant. Assumption off the back. Spills it forward. And you just have to wonder if the conditions are affecting them. Phil Mack. Oh, too easy for the veteran Mack on the turnover ball. And that's a heartbreaker for the Sabercats, who go from having their own scrum to giving up 5 points.
I tell you what, Dan, they said chivalry's dead, but Houston have just opened that door for Phil Mack and took full advantage of it, and he scored a 5-pointer. Again, really asserting their dominance at the start of this second half.
Well, great play there from the veteran. Look at that, just standing off the number 9. And really, if you're Justin Fitzpatrick and the Sabercats, you're starting to think back to maybe a ladder you walked under, a black cat that crossed your path, a mirror that broke 5-6 years ago, and it's coming home to roost now as the Seawolves. Well, I know their fans back in Seattle, they consider themselves the #1 fan base in all of Major League Rugby, and with a side like this, it's hard to argue that point. And that man right there, he's been centre to the success on the field. Phil Mack, what a great pickup he has been for Seattle.
Well, the Seattle team's giving their fans a lot to cheer about at the moment, Dan. They're playing an entertaining style of rugby, and this is what we were expecting a little bit earlier in that first half, but they've really come out to impress in this second half. And Houston have to be very careful that this game doesn't turn into a blowout. At a 0 scoreline at the moment, they really need to step up and do something special to get some intensity and get some importance back into this game.
That's something to consider too for new fans. Very different to the NFL, where running up the score is frowned upon. In rugby, you go the full time. If you can keep scoring points, you keep scoring points, just like Brock Stoller has done with that kick right through the middle from the sideline. Great conversion from the winger. 20 points to 0. Seattle in control here.
And you're right, Dan, and again, another differing factor from the NFL in rugby. The conversion is taken from the spot of the try. Now, Stoller's just done an amazing job at guiding that ball straight through the post, and in these conditions, that's a very difficult thing to do. Great job, Stoller. Great job, Seattle. Here we go, second half.
That one spilled forward. The restart's
forward.
continuing to bother both
There's
these
nothing
sides
to be
here.
Offside, okay? Easy.
Go, boys.
And again, no love lost between these sides. You see there, number 7, the smiling assassin, Vili Tolitahu. Always a smile on his face, no matter what's going on. I love his style. I love the way he plays the game.
I'm right there with you, Dan. He's won me as a fan tonight. He has been everywhere tonight. He's been an instrumental part of the Seattle team, and he's really done a great job at really messing up the Houston game plan. He's thrown them off their game plan, and I think he's been an instrumental part of what's turning out to be a 20-0 scoreline.
It's only a matter of time before he gets a look at higher honours. He does have a few penalties in his game around the breakdown, but that's what good sevens do. They play on the edge. He'll find that limit as his career blossoms, but, well, the sky is the ceiling for the young man.
I think you're right, Dan. A lot of rugby left in front of him. Still a young guy, energetic, really enthusiastic, great around the ruck.
Now, Stevens, he's patched up, back from the blood bin. That was quick. Now Sumption. He pushes forward as well. Need to get some points on the board as Hewitt also charges in. This is better ball retention here from the Sabercats. That one forward, though. Murphy's really got to make better decisions at the back of the ruck, Luke. He is really hurting the Sabercats tonight.
They really started to get some great continuity going there, Dan. And for everyone at home, that is the important part of rugby. The longer and more consistent you can keep that ball, the more reflated you'll be on it.
Let's go down to Stacey with an update on the smiling assassin himself, Vili Tolitahu.
You're the best with nicknames. I love it, Dan. Well, a little bit more on he and his teammate John Hayden. They're graduating from college next weekend. And what's very exciting for these young fellas is that they make a long trek every single time they go to practice. It is hours in the car from Central Washington to get there. I'm hearing from a source close to the team that upon graduation, Vili's dad asked him to cut his hair. So we might be seeing a gentleman who is 4 inches shorter the next time we see him on the air.
Oh, that is Mr. Tolitahu. Don't make him do it. He's getting a cult following in Major League Rugby. His style of play put him in the spotlight. And there he is, the smiling assassin.
If
that haircut makes him any more streamlined, Dan, I think there's going to be some protests from the opposing teams. He's a dangerous player, and any more advantage, and I think he'll be a real standout.
Go, Tim. Hold him up if he's trying to go.
Now the Seawolves on their own 22.
Okay, here we go. Crouch! Bind!
They've got a split attack here with backs either side on the midfield scrum. Good platform. Mack comes to his left, finds Suniula, little kick through, Rusalika on the chase. Pangeline under pressure. Oh, Rusalika! If he could have reeled that in, he was home for your T-money. Couldn't get there, though. And now we'll come back for the knock-on. Dangerous signs there.
Well, Rusalika had a look up there a little bit earlier, Dan. I think that he was considering putting the ball over the line before he actually caught it. To look up into the defence's eyes there can really throw an attacking player off. That was a huge opportunity for Seattle to really put that foot on the accelerator, and that's a missed opportunity.
His mark. Step. 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 Hey, step.
Here you see some of the forwards starting to ego off, really assert their macho dominance.
Yeah, it's a different world. It's a different culture. 1 through 3. Those
crouch.
2 props and the hooker in the middle there.
It really is, Dan, and I tried to stay as far out of there as I possibly could.
That's a safe place to be. I was right with you, Butter.
Really interesting, though, the level of respect that you do have as an outside back, as you and I were, Dan, for your forwards in this engine room doing the hard work. You see them in there huffing and puffing, but really doing that work to get the possession. That's where people like Murphy really need to get that ball quickly out to Windsor and give these backs a little bit of an opportunity to repay the hard work that these forwards are doing.
Bind.
And you can see the sweat. It is very hard work up there.
Put it in.
These guys play both sides of the ball. Every tackle contested.
He's got it out.
Sumption off the back. Michelle is able to wrap him up. Now Lindsay.
Time off. Time off.
We could have some issues here as Derek Summers called time up. We'll listen in to his conversation.
Looks like he's reaching into his pocket here, Dan. Yellow card.
Dangerous. Cut at the knees.
Well, he's got him for the old grass cutter tackle here, diving down at the knees of the player. You call it a chop block in
That's
American
right,
football.
Dan. And with no arms, again, it's really important to differentiate. You must use your arms to complete a tackle in the sport of rugby. There is no leading with the shoulders and without arms. You do have to make an attempt to wrap those arms around the player, which means you've got to get in a lot closer as a defensive player into the attacking player to make sure that contact sticks.
Here we see was it the play after this one. Sumption goes off the back. That's all good. Deschelle. Keep an eye on Ray Barkwell in number 2 jersey, just to the right of your screen here. Yeah, he just throws the shoulder down the legs of the player. Really not in the ethos, the ethics of the game, is it, Luke? Really not, and really unnecessary in that phase of play there, Dan. We see now Houston having a very, very attractive stage, and here we go. There's Sumption off the back. He's toiled hard all night, Sumption. Tolitahu over the top of the ball. Does he get the turnover? No. No clear release from the tackler. And that is the line that he flirts with. As he gives away the penalty, probably not a bad penalty to give in that situation, Luke. Sabercats looking dangerous. Great penalty to give for Seattle. Very lucky to not be sitting 10 minutes off in the sin bin at the moment, Dan. Professional foul, in my opinion. And one more look. Here's the yellow card, Luke. You see Barkwell with the shaved head. We're seeing Barkwell there. No attempt to get his arms around the player there. Straight down, head down. Really poor form and actually really dangerous in the sport of rugby. With those other defending players coming over the back, huge opportunity for neck injuries, head injuries. We don't want to see that in the game. We want to make sure that we are wrapping those arms around that player and securing that tackle and making sure it is a legal tackle in rugby.
Discipline here, you'll lose another, okay?
Here we go. Michael, on me, boys.
Now, that also forces the Seawolves to make another change, as they need to bring on a front row player for contestable scrums. It looks like Tree Wheeler steps into hooker, while Barkwell sitting right there will do his 10 minutes in the sin bin.
We'll talk about turning points in the game, Dan. The exceptional advantage that Houston have with Seattle being a team player down. Really lucky there they weren't 2 people down, in my opinion, with Villy really going in there late and holding that ball up. This could be an opportunity for Houston to bring back a few of these points and actually make a game of it coming into this last 20 minutes.
Interesting here as well, Luke. They're playing with 8 in the scrum on the 5. So they've brought Russell Luke in. They're playing a player short in the back line. Houston, will they go for the push here, 8 on 8? Will they try to exploit the numbers wide? They come off with Sumption on the back. Sumption, just short of the line.
Let it go, let it go!
Again, slow ball. This time another penalty for the Sabercats, and we have timeout. Could be trouble here for the Seawolves. And it's a 20-point game, but this could turn quickly if they lose another player.
Really quickly. And again, there's a professional foul there of having their hands in the rucks. It's a deliberate attempt to slow the game down. And as you can see, another yellow card's being given. In my opinion, 2 minutes too late. This is a really interesting time of the game, Dan. We see 15 players now up against 13 players. Huge advantage for Houston. They must take advantage of it.
And we talked about the talent of Tolitau. There's the danger. There's the yellow card. The man from Maui in Hawaii leaves the Seawolves with 13.
And these are one of the differences, Dan, again, from the NFL. In rugby, you cannot replace a sin-binned player. So they're off that field for 10 minutes right now, and this is a huge disadvantage to their team.
The Sabercats will look to exploit. Windsor first, the dummy, the reach, the stretch. Windsor's got to be close, just short, says Summers. The Sabercats knocking on the door here.
Just leave it.
Great control by Windsor there, Dan. I love seeing that aggression.
Again, the Sabercats looking to keep tight. Value to the right, they go that way. And they're in. The Sabercats finally on the board.
Great work from the Houston team there, Dan. I think we're going to see a little bit of a shift in the intensity and into who's controlling this game. With Seattle having 2 players off the field, huge opportunity to get some points. Great continuity, great pick and drive. Well done, Houston.
And Charlie Hewitt, the man rewarded for the try. It was great lead-up work from Windsor. He sliced through like he's done a few times tonight to fly half. And you'll see Hewitt just to the right there as he gets some assistance from Trouville. The big man, he reaches out for the try. Just like that, the Sabercats They are back in this one. Don't turn the TV off just yet, folks. Still plenty of time on the clock.
Plenty of time, Dan, and we can see how quickly the game of rugby can change. Again, Houston has the opportunity to come home really strong here. I love seeing Windsor really take advantage and take this game by the scruff of the neck and try and punch his head through. Another opportunity to put some points on the ground. No wonder he's the leading point scorer.
He strikes that sweetly right through the middle, 20 points to 7. As we will take a quick break here as the players hydrate. The race to the final is on. It's the Sabercats who get a try to bring them back in contention here. 20 points to 7. Seawolves and Sabercats continues after this.
Once again, we want to give a huge shout out to Aviva, the world's leading provider of engineering and industrial software. Also the proud sponsor of the T-shirt cause. Ladies and gentlemen, who wants a free T-shirt? Once again, T-shirt cause brought to you by Aviva.
And welcome back to a lively Dyer Stadium, brought to life by that Sabercats try. 20 points to 7. The Seawolves still in the lead though, with just under 20 minutes left to play here. And that is the story, Luke Milton, that got them back in the game. 2 players in the sin bin. Seawolves down to 13.
Look at the smiling Assassins, not smiling too much at the moment, Dan, and it really does put his team into a little bit of a disadvantaged situation. With Barkwell there with him on that reserve bench there, or on that sin bin bench, this creates a huge opportunity for Houston, and we just saw another turnover, cheap turnover. Let's see what Houston does with this ball. Big opportunity for Windsor to step up and show us why he is the player he is.
Up so you line properly.
Well, they've also brought on the big man you mentioned, Joey Yosefo, the former New England Patriot, was in camp with the Carolina Panthers on a tryout basis, but smart guy, figured out he liked rugby more and came back to God's game.
Well, Dan, after watching Yosefo run out there, I'm glad I'm retired. I'll tell you what, he's a big, imposing boy, and he's going to do some damage out here tonight.
They will use him. No, they go at the back to Esdale, and Malachi Esdale, he almost gets through the back of the line there. And that's the depth you were talking about, Luke. Finally, the Sabercats start using some of that depth, and they almost make a break immediately.
Well, we're seeing a newfound energy now, Dan. Look at that, what points can do for your team. The motivation and energy is really there.
The ball's there.
And think about how taxing it is as well. With only 13 players, that extra defensive load that falls on the shoulders of the Seawolves players.
Really important point there, Dan. It's not just a disadvantage that you have from having shorter players. It's what those 13 players now have to do in response to the 15 of the Houston team. I'm really excited to see what Houston do with this opportunity.
High kick. Not handled. Esdale. He's got speed. Esdale. Oh, the try saver. Shalom Suniula. That is a try saver. It saved his team a certain 5 points there. The ankle tap. Brilliant stuff from Esdale, though.
Well, Dan, that's what rugby is all about. Suniula there made a play of the match, in my opinion, for right now. And that's what touchdowns are all about. That is what these final games are all about. And making that final 4, that's what Seattle needs to do. Great work.
There you see Windsor. Keeping an eye on his kick. Watch this here. Esdale is gone. He is home there. He's got the speed. Great ankle tap. Foot on the paint.
I'd really like to see that again, Dan, whether his foot did go out. I think he managed to keep his feet up there from first view.
Well, Stacey Pates, she is always patrolling the sideline. She was right there. Stacey, what did you see down there?
Well, I just want to talk a little bit about the mindset of Houston. You talked about how the Sabercats have a new life right now after Sam Windsor's score, and that's something else that he and I spoke about just before the kickoff. He told me because there's so much weight on his shoulders to help carry this team as the MLR's leading scorer, he says he has to actually take extra time to focus on his attitude all the time, because how he goes, he feels the team goes. That also goes with his leadership role and how he's another coach on the field. So he's somebody they always look to for that extra energy, and we've seen that since he got the try.
Yeah, great insight there, Stacey. There's the Seawolves still in trouble with Truwiller here with the throw. Well taken from Duchel. They come midfield, trying to work this ball out of their 22. They really want to slow things down here while they've got two players in the bin. They'll play the territory, find the line as well. And that's a good option. That will take some more time off the clock. Let's take one last look at that Suniula-Esdale contest.
Well, here you see great pressure coming in. Fair contest.
Now maybe a question mark of a knock on there from Esdale. Comes off his hand, perhaps down and back. Does he stay in?
Oh, that right foot there, just. Suniula did a great job regardless. But Esdale, wow. Quick on his feet.
He has those jet shoes, as does the entire back line there.
I'm really impressed with the Houston back three. I think that he's given a bit of depth and given a bit of time. I think they can be the real difference coming into this last 20 minutes of the game, Dan.
That's the game.
They look to drive forward here.
Now it's moving, there we go, that's good.
They peel off, come around to this left-hand side, the Sabercats. Murphy finds Windsor, Windsor back inside, Turnbull.
You see Yusefo just hanging around the middle of that field.
Yeah, it's on the ball.
And they're not releasing against Turnbull in the tackle. It was a big hit that came in from Shermer. He may have come off second best as well.
Time off.
10 minutes just went fast there as we see Barkwell about to come back on, Dan.
Time off.
Really disappointing to not take more advantage of that in the middle of the field there from the Houston team.
And that is Banohani. He's down, number 20. Just got on the field too. Did Haney?
You okay? We're going to play through, okay?
Samoan native.
Water off. Water off. We're going to play through. Let's go, water off. We'll have the
pretty tough
kick.
down there. He's going to limp it off.
Yeah. We've got the magic water out.
Here you go.
I think Haney wants to stay on at this time of the game.
Time on.
He's very, very ginger on that knee,
like
though, Luke.
Yeah, it does look that way, actually, Dan.
Don't want to let the team down by it. It's great to stay out there, show that you're tough, you can work through that, show some resilience, but Phil Mack is going to isolate you. He's going to identify you very, very quickly.
You're right, and this is where the experienced players really come to the fore of this, Dan, identifying someone that's injured or someone that's not at 100% and taking full advantage of it. Again, really important to the viewers at home to make that difference with the NFL, how they do have more stoppages. Rugby is a game of continuity. It's a game of reliable work, and these guys don't get a break, injury or not. And here you see him really having to step up straight away.
And he tests that knee out immediately. Does Haney, and it seems to be okay for now as Murphy, flat pass, goes wide. Sabercats continue to push around to that left side. That's an inspired run there from Turnbull. And that's what you want from your run-ons. Guys coming off the reserve bench. They come wide now. Little juggle from Stevens. Knocked back.
Backwards, play!
Yusefo.
Here we see. Great run there by Yusefo, controlling that ball.
And Hewitt isolated. The cavalry comes to save the day. That pass to Windsor, again, just slightly behind. As Pangelian. So dangerous in broken field is Pangelian, as he's brought down on the 30-metre line. Now Murphy to his right has Windsor. Flat pass to Sumption. Murphy again. Kalunasau, Stevens. Toburio shoots out of the line there. Windsor. Goes to the middle of the field. Hewitt. Khalifi goes low. The lumberjack chops him down. Now Windsor. Pangelian wide. Vithi. Vithi beats one. Still on his feet, Vithi gets the ball back, may have gone forward.
Knock on.
And it does. The whistle of referee Summers indicates it will be a scrum for the Seawolves.
Dan, the pure athleticism there of Vithi almost created something from nothing. But again, I sound like a broken record, but they need to get this depth. The opportunity and the spaces were there then, but the flatness really stopped them from taking advantage of, again, a very fatigued Seattle team.
Time off, time off.
Here we see it at the end. Vithi beats one. He's just bouncing out of tackles.
Kevin, how much time on the other
like
side?
The Energizer Bunny, isn't he? Just so much energy and so much. It's just like ruthless the way they run.
Dan, if he was Australian, I'd think his parents were kangaroos. He is bouncing out of tackles left, right, and centre.
If you want water, it's fine. It's an injury. It's an injury.
And here you see both teams' players on the ground. Rusalika getting some attention.
Okay, let's go.
Look, smart play here, Dan, from Seattle, soaking up that clock, really giving everyone a little bit of a break. They're under fatigue, only 13 players. They need every second that they can get that fresh air into those lungs, get the blood moving around the body, and live to fight another day.
And Nakai Penny, he comes on for Sherma. Sherma picked up that bump in a tackle a few minutes ago. And they await the return of Vili Dolitau.
Your mark, set it. Step over, we'll kind of get off this.
He's back smiling again, I love it. Look out, Houston, he's back.
I tell you what, Phil Mack wouldn't have been smiling if that had cost him any more points, I'll tell you, Dan. But Vili's a likeable character. He's going to go back out there and make up for that indiscretion.
Time off, time off. He's cramping.
Still a 13-point ball game, Luke. 2 converted tries would get the Sabercats home here. Just over 10 minutes to play.
Absolutely, and with the consistency of Windsor's boot, I don't think 13 points is out of Houston's range. What they do need to do, though, is take advantage of that fatigue that is obviously setting in for Seattle and really give him an opportunity to put that boot to the fore. Again, as you explained, Dan, we're only 2 scores away right now, and there is plenty of time to capitalise on that. 2 scores to Houston, sees them come home and win this game late in the thing. Let's see if they can turn the events of the previous weeks.
As Mozak Sampson makes his way on the field, looks like Rusalika will just make sure he doesn't slot onto the wing here. No, he stepped out the back of the dead ball line. He has succumbed. Looks to like some hamstring issues. 9.5 minutes left to play.
Crouch! Fine!
40 seconds left on the clock for Dolitau as well.
Set!
Seattle, they'll be wanting to get back to a full contingent of 15. Mack at the back of the scrum. Finds Staller.
Great leg drive by Staller.
Picks up vital extra few yards as Suniula picks up even more with an educated right boot right back into the 22 of the Sabercats. Vithi on the counter attack. Worrying signs. Joshua Vithi, open space, can't get the ball away, towed through, Tiberio almost. Now Mack the turnover. That is a crucial turnover in their 22 as well.
Crucial turnover, Dan.
And now Tiberio. Isolated, needs some help. Turner comes in.
No, I missed it. Play.
Midfield, Deschel. Opportunity here for the Seawolves. Mecha, quick pass, not handled though. Opportunity goes begging. And now Vithi, he'll look to counter on the outside. Vithi can't get around Staller. As Pangelian steps in to the scrum half position while Murphy makes his way over. Now Stevens.
Advantage over.
Murphy, Windsor. Yusefo right through. Yusefo loses his footing up to the 40 now. They need to get some second phase play off the back of Yusefo. Turnover right, Luke, and this is a big turnover because it's a kickable penalty here, which would stretch them beyond 2 converted tries.
It really is, Dan, and you started to see the flair of Vithi there really backfiring. Should have kicked that ball out, gone for possession, gone for field position, and really played to the game plan. Dangerous move being so isolated. And to explain that the back 3, you and I both played back there ourselves, Dan, the #1 crime is to be isolated away from your support players so that you can't secure and win that ball. Really dangerous play there by Vithi. Almost made up for on the outside there of the left, but that ball should have been well down into Seattle's territory.
Shot. Points. Okay, let's get Dubs. The time's on.
Yeah, no surprise. They'll take the 3 here from Stoller. Back to 15 now with Tolitahu on the field.
Tibbs, you've been sub.
No, sorry. No, 9 went off instead. 23 for 9.
Okay, now it's corrected.
Sorry.
Yeah. Time should be on.
Now, this is a big kick for Stoller.
Time should be on.
Would push them out to a 16-point lead. Beyond 2 converted tries. Quite a good security blanket. And that one stays away. A big miss and a glimmer of hope for the Sabercats. Now it's big here, Luke, for the Sabercats. They've got to get their hands back on the ball.
Yeah. No, it's not changing.
You're right, Dan. Still plenty of time here tonight. Plenty of opportunity. Oh, great take. And there's those fresh legs coming to fruition.
And that's Burke Coombs there, the replacement winger. There's Khalifi, great tip on from Khalifi, finds Treewheeler. He's brought down on the 40. As they continue to the right, Tiberio, Holder. Big collisions comes in.
Let him go,
Midfield, strong defence there. Looks like Vithi coming off his wing. He's had a very busy game. He's tried hard.
He really has. He's really tried to assert his dominance in the middle of the field. Unfortunately, it's been at the cost of his fatigue, I think.
Just a knock.
Good to see the physicality still there in the 73rd minute of this game, Dan. Those big boys are really earning their money tonight.
No,
they certainly are. Almost an intercept there for Pangelini, the fullback for the Sabercats.
I can see it. Do the sub now.
Pangelini has been impressive when he's had his moments, Dan. Really like to see him in a more open, deep field play.
Already off.
Well, it may be tough at this time of the season, Luke, but I'd love to see the Sabercats just flip their philosophy a little bit. They're a forward-orientated team. I think with that back line,
he's off over here.
You've got to do exactly what you said in the first half. Get some depth, let the ball go wide, get some go forward. Maybe
20.
Look at bringing Yosefo on a little earlier as a battering ram in the midfield at inside centre and play off that.
I couldn't agree more, Dan. I think they've got some real weapons back there. And I'm not sure if they've been utilised to full strength. I would love to see them play a little bit more field possession early. Really, exactly as you said, get yourself in early to really damage up the opposition's 12 and 13 and take advantage of it outside with your danger players like Vithi.
Just wait for him a little bit.
Haney, he succumbs to that knee, not surprising. He tried to tough it out.
Okay, that's close enough. Time on.
Brave players, these guys, Dan, too. Again, a really important point. These players are out there for 80 continuous minutes with a break for half-time. Huge physical demands, huge physicality. They do a great job.
Crouch! Bind! Sit!
Tiberio, he has slipped into scrum half.
Billy, go back. Good.
As Billy breaks a little bit early there on his own scrum. As Turner comes wide, Burke Coombs, Angelian, he judo throws him into the ground.
Yep, advantage.
Now Tiberio quickly to his right. Picks up Penny.
Play.
Burke Coombs off the back.
Still have advantage.
They go wide, Turner, one-on-one. Turner backs himself, stays in. No, there's the foot on the sideline.
Back to the advantage, and really interesting point here, really important to point out. You cannot attack a player's head. This is what happens when attacking teams attack with that depth and with those fresh legs. You get someone on that outside foot, and we really saw him get misfooted there, back on that inside shoulder, and throw the arm out into an illegal tackle of the head.
Now, Luke, one of the interesting things to watch here in the closing moments of this game is Seattle. They're going to continue to put the foot on the accelerator. They need the bonus points. They're in a tussle with Glendale for that top 2 spot. You're looking at the way the standings will fall. It's going to favour that #1 team. They'll get to play the 4th place side in the semi-finals as opposed to 2 versus 3, which could be a much tighter match.
Really important point there, Dan, and this bonus point becomes so important in the later stages of this season. As you said, advantages such as home ground advantages, again, playing teams that you would like to play against, it becomes a real strategy.
We see one of the players down getting some treatment. Comes across. Oof, right on the old...
Got the head in the wrong position there. Yeah, and this is one of the...
And that is Lindsay Stevens getting some attention, undoubtedly. Already probably got a few stitches already, and that will probably conclude his evening.
Really well, and I'd hate to see a concussion there, but it looks like that's what we've got there, Dan. Again, with this fatigue and these conditions put in, I don't want to underestimate how tough it is out there. These guys are warriors, and Stevens just got his head in the wrong position there, and again, copped that stray knee. It's a tough sport played by tough guys.
And Riley, he'll step on to finish the game.
Contact to the head and neck area with force.
For Stevens, we go back to the high tackle.
It's a penalty. High tackle.
And you won't see any let up here from the Seawolves either, I would expect.
High tackle.
And it was a yellow card for Pangeline. His card issues continue. That's his third in as many weeks.
That's tough. It really is tough. I'm a big fan of Pangeline. I think that he's got a lot of talent, but he's going to have to keep that discipline under control, Dan, to make an impact in this Major League Rugby competition.
Yeah, he's definitely not a dirty, knowing him personally, not a dirty player at all.
Absolutely. Again, back to this fatigue and throwing that arm up there. You and I have both been there when you get misfooted or stepped. And again, it comes back to this interchange and the game plan of these coaches.
Houston, no option but to clear. Pass wayward from Burke Coombs. Staller luckily gets back there to save the day for his side.
He's solid as a rock, Staller, isn't he? He's always there in the clutch moments where you need him.
Knock on.
Handling error from the Seawolves.
It's over, it's a scrum.
I've got to say, this is almost Houston's last chance at this one.
And you talk about not only their last chance tonight, Luke, but it's probably their last roll of dice to get into the playoffs, which are coming up on June 30th. They'll be in Glendale, Colorado. Rugby Town, USA. Both semi-finals there, kicking off at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. We don't know who it's going to be. You're going to have to tune in over the next 3 to 4 weeks to find out. Exciting times for Major League Rugby. And then the big one, the final in San Diego, down in Torero Stadium there. Make sure you go to usmlr.com. Get your tickets now. Believe me, they're hotter than the pancakes.
And get them early, guys. That one's going to sell out quick.
Came out.
We'll reset the scrum.
And going back to your point, Dan, really important point that you made. This may be the final throw of the dice for Houston for the season, not just tonight. Really important that they get some continuity going here. Really important Windsor leads his team into some sort of a scoring position in a very, very quick succession.
And they are done at home after this. This is their last home game. Everything on the road. And as we've seen in the inaugural season of Major League Rugby, tough to win on the road.
It seems like people do have that hometown advantage. Getting the hometown crowd behind really strikes on the players and really gets them motivated in these final minutes of the game. Well, let's go, Houston.
Ball to back, Sumption. He's had a strong game, the number 8, that one. Forward, though. And that's really been the story of the Sabercats tonight.
Advantage. No, we'll play the advantage.
Still playing advantage here, Dan.
No, we'll come back, sorry.
Now we will go all the way back.
Lost forward.
Still plenty of passion on these sides. You see in the background there. Paulson, Hewitt just having a little conversation. Let's go down to Stacey with an update from the sidelines.
I just wanted to add to what Luke was just saying about the crowd here in Houston. No one has moved a muscle, and it is just under 2 minutes to go in this match. Their last home game might be part of it, but I've talked to a lot of people around this field and fans of the Sabercats, and they love having this team here, and obviously the team loves being here. The camaraderie in and amongst the team itself is one thing, but the way they pour back into the community is something that they really, really focus on, and that is something they're so proud of. They love being part of this community, and it shows the love is being paid back to this team.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Stacey. Houston, a great rugby city in the United States.
Well, it's just a great city, Dan. Really good to be here. Really good to see the team apparel being out there.
Now the turnover. Here it is. Last chance. Big contact comes in. As that one goes over the sideline.
Let's see what Summers does here. Thought there might have been a hint of a dangerous tackle there, Dan. Leaning into that and almost landing on his head.
Yeah, it was a big contact. Here's the big question, Luke. Did he put the player in a dangerous position? The onus is on the tackler, not the player getting tackled. It's the tackler to make sure the player is put down in a safe position. That could have been brought back for a high one there. This one's okay from Turner. It's on the turnover here when the ball spills out.
Great turnover.
Oh, that's fine.
It's fine.
Very dramatic. Two high-velocity players coming together at the same time.
At speed, I love seeing it. It was real athletes out here tonight, Dan, and they're showing that in these final stages of the game. Great for rugby. Major League Rugby really on show here tonight.
Iberio. Bert Coombs.
That's full time.
Macquarie repays the favour. They come across another crunching tackle. You can see the Sabercats. They're going to play to the final whistle. And you hear the referee saying it's full time. Seattle, they don't want to throw it out. They're going to get more tries. They know not only bonus points, but point differential. As I say that, Peter Tiberio, he says, no, Dan, I've had an absolute enough of this game. Over the sideline, that's the full-time whistle. 20 points to 7. It was a war of attrition. Both these sides left it all out on the field. It's the Seawolves who come away with it. When we return from the break, we'll have our player of the match down on the field with Stacey Pates.
Major League Rugby on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Virginia Mason. Virginia Mason is
once again, thank you so much for your support of the Houston Sabercats. Thanks for coming out to tonight's match. Please be safe going home. But until...
I had a challenge.
Major League Rugby on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Virginia Mason. Virginia Mason is proud to be the exclusive medical care provider of the Seattle Seawolves. By the 2018 Special Olympics USA Games, we welcome more than 4,000 Special Olympics athletes and coaches from across the country to Seattle. Get your tickets online at risewithus.org. And by X-Blades, the official technical kit supplier of Major League Rugby.
A big win on the road for the Seattle Seawolves, and they maintain their #1 standing in this league right now. I want to talk about the camaraderie, because what the fans at home did not see is how both teams came to center pitch, and you guys just really have a brotherhood.
Yeah, I think the rugby aside, it's really physical and really you go at each other. But I think what brings people back is just a camaraderie off the field, and we're all really good friends off of it. And to share a minute after the game and after the battle is done, I think it's pretty special, and it's what keeps me coming back.
And it was a battle tonight, and you maintain in that #1 spot. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Guys.
Thank you, Stacey, and congratulations, Phil Mack. Well, that wraps it up, folks, from Dyer Stadium in Houston, Texas. The Seawolves have got a win on the road. For Luke Milton, Stacey Pates, and our entire crew, I'm Dan Power. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.